honesty.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello. The sound sounds a little bit low on my end. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, a little bit.
Down a little bit. I love your t-shirt.
Thank you. Thank you. Represents a lot. We have the Institute logo here, the Youth for Justice in the front, which is the youth.
I'm gonna have to go to the shop.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
It was funny. I was trying to see the Attorney General's comments, but it looked like it was a little bit behind. So I said, let me get in here. Can everybody hear me okay?
I can.
Wonderful.
Oh.
I'm sure everyone's had a busy, there's so many things going on today.
Oh, yeah. This is my third event today.
Oh, my goodness. I went to they actually had a socially distanced breakfast. So I went there and rushed back. But it's my third event too, because I also went to I went to, it was Glassboro at the time, but Rowan now, they had a virtual as well.
Good morning, folks. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Miss Retha. How are you?
Hi, everyone. Good to see you.
You as well.
So Krystal and I tried to get in at 11:40, and I'm like panicking, like, why can't I see the
Yeah, the session wasn't there yet.
Yeah, it wasn't there yet. So I called, and she's like, 12 o'clock. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
So I hear you said you've been to 2 or 3 events already?
One virtual at 9.
Mm.
I had a socially distanced breakfast that I ran to at 10, and I was back here by maybe 11:30 or so.
Okay, so you've had a hectic morning.
Mm-hmm. And then my husband decided, I have stepchildren, so I have grandchildren. My 5 and 6-year-old grandbabies are here. So I've like threatened them. I'm like, listen, grandmama and my mom is working, so I better not hear any noise.
Oh,
so if you hear noise, you know what it is.
If we hear noise, they disregarded you completely.
Exactly. I just heard my husband be like, stay downstairs, stay downstairs.
No, I was nervous. I was like, am I not following instructions?
Yeah, we want everything to work right?
Yeah, the same thing. I'm like, oh my goodness.
So we're waiting for Naquese, right?
Correct.
And then I saw in the panel, like announcement, a Jamila T. Davis. So I'm not sure who that is. And a Mysonne.
For this session.
I don't know if I don't know if they're coming on or not.
Yeah, I do see it says 4 out of 9 presenters that are supposed to be on. So it looks like there are a couple people missing. I know it's 12 though. We do have a 40-minute session, so maybe
right. So we go to 12:40, right? I'm gonna try to set my little clock, my timer.
Do you know how behind they are?
It didn't seem like they were behind until they got to the AG's announcement, they were having trouble with the student presenter. Like his audio wasn't right.
Oh,
So they seem like they might be on track.
Got it.
Hi, Naquese.
Hey,
How
how
are
you doing?
you?
Hi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
I'm starting my timer now, guys. I think they'll tell us when we can start.
I do see that we have 25, 26 people with us already. Viewing.
Oh, wow. Do you think they're going to come in and tell us when we can start?
I don't think so, but I might be wrong.
All right. Well, should we get started then?
I would think so.
I would think so. If we had 25
Okay.
people, they see us sitting here chit-chatting.
Okay. Well, I would like to start by saying good afternoon to everyone. My name is Jennifer Webb-McRae, and I happen to be, at the present time, the Cumberland County Prosecutor. For those of you who don't know what a prosecutor is, it's the same thing as a district attorney on the TV shows or in most of the other states in our country. So what it means is that I am the chief law enforcement officer for my county. I've been appointed by two different governors, first by Governor John Corzine, and then a second time by Governor Krystal for my 5-year term, which I have one more year on my term. So I am very excited to be here today and be your moderator of this panel, which is entitled Justice Matters. This is an important topic to me. I've been a lawyer for 25 years, and I started my career
Hey guys,
Hello?
can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
So this session is, we're going to give a little bit more time to this segment because
Okay.
we're running over on the main stage. So just sit tight. We're going to let the DJ come back on and bring the audience back over to you guys, okay?
And you'll let us know when we start then?
I'm sorry, say that again?
You will let us know when we start?
Yep. So I'll let you guys know. I'll come jump back into the screen, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Miss Davis. How are you?
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Hello.
We started because we thought we were starting, but
Okay.
sorry about that.
Hey, bro.
Hey, sis.
Hi, how are you?
You know I'm here. Hi, everybody.
Hello. How are you?
I'm blessed and highly favored.
Good show.
Hey, Mella.
Hey, Bo.
How
I
are you?
thought you was on a different panel, so I guess
Yeah, they asked me to join this because I can only be on for a few moments. Hello, everyone.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. How are you?
Hi. Yeah, I really can't. I really can only be on for a couple of minutes. I'm on a Zoom with my mother's doctor on one thing, and you know how we do.
Well, you look fabulous doing it, so if
Thank
that
you.
helps. Yes, you
It's
look
an
very
all
good.
day thing here I got going on.
Yeah, I saw you had some other flyers up as well. I see you doing a lot
Yeah.
today. I think we should be starting in a few minutes. I think she said they have to finish something on the main stage.
Right.
The DJ is fire. I'm just like, yo, I love this. This is my first time on this topping platform. And I'm like, yo, this
Yeah,
I love it. I love it.
that's really nice.
It's a very, I haven't been on long, but it's a really nicely run event.
Yes, Naquese and her team, they do an amazing job.
Yeah.
I hopped through a couple rooms, the sessions prior to the main stage. It's really cool. So what I'm going to try to do is when we get started, I'm going to introduce myself, and then I'm going to give each panelist 1 to 2 minutes to just introduce themselves before we get into the questions. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
And since you don't have a lot of time, Miss Mallory, maybe I'll start with you.
No, please don't start with me.
Okay.
Please, because I plan to say my name is Tamika Mallory and I work for Jamila and Mysonne, and that's
Oh, there you go.
So that's my full introduction.
Okay.
I definitely do work for them, though. I'm telling you. Trust me.
Now this was good in New Jersey. We've been doing a lot of work in New Jersey, so it's kind of good to be back on with some of the students.
Yeah.
Nice.
Great.
Okay, guys, we're bringing the audience over to you guys, so it's gonna go live. Okay. Start it.
All right. You tell us when it's live.
You gotta go for it.
They're coming in. I see them.
I think she said we're live. Go for it.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jennifer Webb-McRae, and I happen to be the Cumberland County Prosecutor. For those of you who don't know what the prosecutor means, that's like the district attorney in the other 49 states in our great nation. I am the chief law enforcement officer of my county. I've been a lawyer for 25 years. I am in my second term serving as prosecutor of my county, and I'm really excited to be here. My background is that I started my career as a public defender and then went into private practice and represented a lot of different types of boards, but also did criminal defense work before having the privilege of becoming prosecutor in 2010. So I'm excited to be here today and to talk about justice and why justice matters. We have a very exciting panel here with us this afternoon. So I'm going to start by asking them to introduce themselves and giving them 1 minute to talk about themselves and why justice matters to them. So I'm going to start with our Assemblywoman, Verlina Reynolds-Jackson. Welcome.
Thank you so much. First, I want to just give a big shout out to the platform here, to the commission. This is an awesome workshop for youth, and I am just proud to be here to be a public servant. Just quickly, you can Google me to get all the technical stuff, but get to the chase. I'm from Trenton. I grew up 2 blocks away from the State House. I've always been passionate about ending racism and empowering women and families and communities. I come from a family of a single parent with 2 disabled older brothers, and so I've always been the champion for them, my nieces, my nephews, and anybody else that needs help. So of course that would take me into my social work background that led me to want to serve my city better, and I joined city council. Long story short, I am currently the General Assemblywoman for the 15th Legislative District, and I represent 10 towns throughout the state of New Jersey. Although I'm elected by my 10 towns, my vote has an impact throughout the entire state. So essentially, I'm a public servant that works for you. And I just look forward to hearing questions and having a discussion about social justice. So thank you so much for having me on the panel today.
Thank you. Next, I'm going to go to Krystal Suruya. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Krystal Suruya. I am currently from Youth for Justice New Jersey, which is the youth arm to the 150 Years is Enough campaign, which is run by the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice, working to close down the youth prisons in New Jersey. I am a multi-system youth, so I grew up in the foster care as well as the juvenile justice system. And that's why I'm here today to really talk about this work and talk about the justice for our youth and really about the restorative justice practices that are needed more in our communities and moving away from punitive practices more to compassion and passionate practices. So thank you, everybody, and I look forward to today's discussion.
Thank you. Miss Retha Onitiri, welcome.
Thank you so much, and hello, everyone. I am thrilled to be here. I'd like to thank the commission for inviting me to be part of this panel. like to also thank Ms. Madden as well for including me in the panel. I'm actually very thrilled to be here. I love talking to young people. I work very closely with Krystal, so Krystal will tell you that we have a good time including young people in our program. I am the community engagement director at the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice, which is a legal policy and advocacy organization. We are located in the mighty city of Newark. We focus on 4 action areas. We look to close the racial wealth gap, transform New Jersey's youth justice system. We want to make our communities safe by making sure that we have policing that is accountable to our community. We want to ensure democracy for all. So we want to make sure that voting rights are secure for everyone. And we want to also repair harm from racism. I lead the 150 Years is Enough campaign. And as Krystal mentioned, our mission is to make sure we keep as many young people as possible out of the youth justice system. And most importantly, we are trying to make sure that we move our resources back into the community to make sure our young people are as successful as they possibly can in the communities where they came from. Again, I'm thrilled to be here and I'm looking forward to this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. It says Dwayne Nelson on the screen, but that's our Naquese Joshua. So, Mr. Joshua, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Naquese Joshua. I am currently a resident at Warren Residential Community Home in Oxford, New Jersey. And I'm here just to inform people of like the things that I went through, during time and trying to make more opportunities for my peers so they won't come here, or when they get out, they won't re-entry.
Thank you. Miss Jamila T. Davis, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Hello. My name is Jamila T. Davis. I am an author, motivator, also an activist. I am also the founder of the BIP Online Academy. Justice matters to me because I am, I guess, a product of the school to prison pipeline. 2008, I was sentenced to serve 12 and a half years in federal prison for bank fraud, for actions that I actually did. But one of the things that was disheartening to me was the 2 white males that were sentenced in my case, and basically kind of instructed me on what to do. One was a mortgage broker, the other was a lawyer. In front of the same judge, they received a 2-year sentence when I received a 12 and a half year sentence. That was very disheartening to me. And I realized at that point, justice wasn't equal in America. I ended up serving a decade behind bars, but I made use of that time. I went back to school. I got my associates, my bachelor's, my master's. I started working on my PhD. I also published over a dozen books. And the role that I play now is just basically helping to destroy that school to prison pipeline through programming and things of that nature. I believe if we give resources to our youth, then we can change the trajectory of their future. Thank you.
Amen. Amen to that.
I can relate to that one right there.
Hey, sis.
Miss Tamika Mallory, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me to jump in for a few moments today. Unfortunately, I cannot stay for the full discussion, but happy MLK Day to everyone. Let's start there. Happy MLK Day. You heard the story that Jamila just told you about her life, and I often joke, but I'm very, very serious, that I literally work for Jamila and Mysonne and so many others because my life is a life of service. I've been an activist all my life since I was very, very young. And stories like Jamila's make me basically make up who I am. That is the type of person I like to fight alongside and for. I believe that those people who are as closely associated with the problems that we're dealing with in our nation are the people that we should focus most of our attention on supporting. And so for all of my career, I've been the person that you can literally find, working within communities and being friends with the people who are sometimes frowned upon by society. And so as an activist, some people call me a leader. Those things are true. And I appreciate those who are constantly encouraging me in my leadership. But truly, I'm a Black mother who understands that but for my work, my son could become the same statistic that I fight to save every single day. And so I get up, not necessarily doing the work for your children. I'm selfishly doing this work for my own.
And last but not least, Mr. Mysonne Lennon, welcome. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
First of all, I hate that you make me speak behind these, Jamila and Tamika. I hate doing that. But thank you for having me. My name is Mysonne Lennon. I am an activist, also a hip hop artist. I'm known to some as the General, a raptivist. My new name has been a Rapolutionary. I'm the co-founder of Until Freedom, formerly incarcerated. I also, like Jamila, my story is a little different. I did 7 years for a crime that I didn't commit. And as I sat in that cell, as I sat in that cell, I wanted to change. I wanted the system to change. I realized that only people like me were coming into this system. And it was for two reasons, because that's the reason how the system was designed, and also because we have been lied to by my predecessors and people in our communities, because they had been lied to. So I wanted to come home and change that narrative. When I was a young boy, we looked up to the drug dealer and those who had money, because that was the only person who had success in our communities. So I wanted to come home and change that reality and change the mind state of our children, because I understood that they had been lied to. So I met along the way so many brilliant people who poured into me, who seen, leadership qualities in myself, who understood that my platform and my voice was actually bigger than what it was that I was doing at that time. So I've dedicated my life, the rest of my life, to actually fighting for the civil rights of our people, fighting against police brutality, fighting against incarceration and imprisonment. And that's what I do every day. And I still work for Tamika and Jamila. So she said she worked for us, but I work for them.
Thank you. So I'm going to get right into it. My first comment and question is that I don't think we do a good job as a country of allowing people who do commit crime and do serve sentences to come out and reintegrate and be part of the fabric of our society so that they can succeed. How can reentry efforts better support people who are coming out of our youth detention centers, facilities, or prisons once they are done serving their sentences? I'm opening that up for anyone.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I just feel like we need more resources, right? And a real second chance. One of the difficulties I had coming home from prison, you can't even get an apartment. Once you fill out the application and you're labeled as a felon, it's really hard to be able to live your life. You have to compete for jobs. And once you're a felon, you seem to be taken out of that race. And it's funny how with credit, right? If you have credit or judgment on your credit, 7 years, after 10 years, it's over and you get a fresh start. That never happens with folks like me who have a felony on their record. For the rest of our lives, it seems as though we have to hold this F on our chest. And that F really it blocks us from many opportunities. So you have to be a person like myself, create your own table, because there's not one for you to sit at.
Amen to that.
If it's okay for me to just jump in and answer, because I don't want to interrupt the discussion when I have to go. I was listening to what Jamila was saying, and it's so true that there's so many issues and barriers to success for people who are formerly incarcerated. And one of our brothers, my son can talk more about it, Jay Jordan, who's out of California, has been working on really trying to peel away the layers, again, those barriers. And so there are mass efforts across the country to address some of those issues. But the thing that I think is so important is that we make sure that the honeymoon period of this new administration ends quickly. We now have and vice president who within the next 2 days will be taking over the White House. Hopefully the man who currently occupies it will leave. I don't know how they're going to get him out, but hopefully they can. And then we also have a Senate that is more reflective of the concerns and the citizens who helped to get these folks elected. And so with that being said, we have a responsibility to really hold their feet to the fire in this moment. We should not make the mistake of 2008 when we were very, very celebratory about President Obama getting elected. Of course, I was one of those who loved to go to the Christmas parties at the White House. I, was very excited about him being there as well, although we did challenge him specifically on the Flint water crisis, where we went out and protested President Obama at that time. However, I don't think that we did enough to really hold the Obama administration accountable. And I think that in this moment with the Biden administration and all the things that are lined up, them having control, semi-control over the federal government, it is a time for us to go back to, or to go to our federal government and say that some of these archaic rules, like the fact that the family has to be separated in order for people to get Section 8 and other housing subsidies, those things need to be addressed. There needs to be an overhaul of the systems. Reform is not strong enough of the language that we have to be using in this moment. I think we need transformation, and I think this administration can and will do it, but they will not do it without pressure from all of us who are advocates on the outside.
Thank you.
I'll jump in next. This is Retha Onitiri again. I wanted to piggyback on the comment that we need to move more resources back into the community. And I'll talk specifically about New Jersey. We are currently spending roughly $300,000 to incarcerate mostly Black and brown children. We have 3 youth prisons that are, more than half full. And we're spending roughly about $53 million to operate these empty youth prisons. So that's absolutely unacceptable. And we need to look at moving more resources back into the community so that we can invest in our young people where they live, in services such as enhanced reentry type programming. And so young people in the community need job training, they need mental health services, they need more housing, independent housing. And so we need to definitely move away from investing in incarceration, especially for our Black and brown kids, and invest in communities. I just wanted to also mention, and I know Assemblywoman Reynolds-Jackson is going to talk about a piece of legislation that we're working with her about to move in the legislature, and that is a restorative justice in communities policy. Restorative justice in communities pilot program. That pilot program would invest $8.4 million into reentry programs, but also restorative justice hubs. That's in 4 cities where young people are coming from. That's a 2-year program that's actually taking 20% away from the incarceration budget and putting it into the communities. So if we can, advocate and push legislation like this, we can move away from incarceration and put funds into the community and help our young people. Thank you.
Can I jump in and say something?
Sure.
Yeah.
So basically, I mirror all of the sentiments of my panelists today. I think the language of defund the police scares a lot of people, but actually what you just said is exactly what we mean when we say it. Taking resources and money from police that is we're overspending. I know in New York, we're spending about $6 or $7 billion a year on police. To reallocate those funds into programs, into organizations where formerly incarcerated people can be, very much impactful. We have the crisis management system in New York City, in which a lot of formerly incarcerated individuals come home and they're able to deal with directly on the streets those before they actually enter in to be incarcerated. Those who are one step from being incarcerated, they're able to identify with them because they understand the realities that those individuals deal with. Also, while you're in prison, there should be direct prison to job programs that make sure that the skills that you're learning in prison, because when you're in prison, they force you to take these trades, they force you to actually work jobs that they don't want to give you when you actually come home. When we talk about marijuana and cannabis, a lot of people have been incarcerated for cannabis. They were actually some of the biggest dealers of cannabis in the street when it was illegal. So now that these things are being legal, I think we should actually expunge these records, at some point, and give those same individuals who you locked up, for cannabis, the opportunity to now capitalize off the cannabis industry. So there's so many different things that we can do if we're really intentional about rehabilitation. And like Tamika said, it can't be prison reform, it's transform, it's reimagining what the system looks like, because reforming something that's already not working is not going to do anything. You have to transform, you have to gradually change. We know it's not going to be an overnight change, but we want to see dramatic and drastic change in the system so that people are actually rehabilitated and given opportunities to become productive members of society.
Absolutely. So I'm going to just mention that I saw in the comments, expand, ban the box. I saw expand expungement, which I think is one that we really should work on and make easier for people to do. So people are chiming in and talking about some of the same things we are talking about here. Naquese, I know when we met and pre-met and talked, we talked about this issue. What are some of the things you would like to see for the young people that are, in the community programs and will be going back out into the community?
Just more opportunities. Like, it's not like I've been in JJC for almost 5 years and a half. And when I first got here, it was nothing for us to do. Like, we literally just sitting around all day, bored. And that's why fights happen and things like that. And during my time, I seen kids go home and come right back. And I'm like, yo, why you come back? And they like, I came home to nothing. Like, I ain't got no money. I ain't got no job. I don't even know how to get a job. And it's safer for me to be in here than it is at home. And I don't got nowhere to live. So I feel like we just need to help kids learn like the basics of life. Filling out applications, how to make a bank account, and things like that.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to switch gears just a little bit because I know this is important for all of our young people on the line. Can we talk about some of the organizations or platforms that our youth can go to if they want to be active in formulating and framing what justice looks like for the 21st century?
So if I might just jump in here, everybody. So hi again, my name is Krystal Suruya. I'm part of the 150 Years is Enough campaign. So I actually helped run a youth organization working to close down the youth prisons in New Jersey and transform, right, and not just reform, like I've seen like some of the people in the chat have said. As young people, we are the ones that are mainly affected by this, so we need to be the ones that are in the forefront. And the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice definitely takes pride in putting the young people in the forefront. And just even on the topic that we just had, right? One of the statistics that I just really wanted to tell everybody when we're thinking about reentry with the youth population is 70% of the young people that get sent to prison actually return within 3 years, right? And that's because the system is currently investing in failure. We're not investing in things that are actually going to help our young people, like Naquese said, right? There's not enough mentoring programs. There's not enough mental health programs. When the system really releases our young people, they get to really fend for themselves. They don't have any type of connections. They don't have no type of support. So we really try to do our due diligence to be able to connect young people to resources as much as possible. If they have a passion in moving this work forward, feel free to connect with us. I'll put my info in the chat. We welcome everybody from around the state. We currently have 3 youth council programs, and one in Camden, one in Trenton, as well as one in Newark that has at least 15 to 20 young people in each area working on these issues. We provide stipends, support, as well as connections. So thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to jump in and just say that I was going to mention the Salvation and Social Justice, the NAACP, the AXO group. Most of us still have a Planned Parenthood in our areas. Our voter type of platforms to help voters engage. But I want us to be really mindful and strategic when we start talking about peeling back the layers of racism that is deeply rooted in housing. That's deeply rooted in employment. And so we work on, ban the box off of employment. But you live in a world of chaos if you don't have housing. If you are a young person and your home is stable, you might be out there just trying to get a meal for the day. So we have to be mindful about these things and how we connect. We oftentimes just think of our schools as an educational facility, but they're also our community resources. These libraries that I know in my town, 3 of the 4 of them closed down. We only have one. Those were natural hubs for our children to go to and learn and be in a protected environment. Those are the places where you had the drill teams and your study groups and your after-school programs that were naturally woven into the fabric of the community. When all of the money was cut from these federal programs and the state programs, it was just like our children are just left out there to go. One of the reasons I know I got thrown into the YWCA is my mom had to work. So where was I going to go? She needed to make sure that I had a place. But childcare is not affordable. Some people can't work and pay for childcare. So we have to make sure when we're having these conversations about economic development and jobs, childcare has to be a part of it. And not just anybody that's babysitting, but that's providing real social and emotional support for these children. You think about it in this, I hope it's not 2 years, but this year that we've been without, you just think about the development of a child, whether they're 5 to 10 or in those puberty stages and trying to develop themselves. A lot of people are being left home alone. I think about human trafficking. I think about Jamila when she said she was with a group of people that she did it, but was that really part of the human trafficking? Were you made to do something because you didn't have a way out? Whatever the situation may be, you may come from a good home, but you're looking for love in all the wrong places. So you get with the wrong people, and you know it. You can talk it, you can preach it, you can say, don't hang out with them. You can tell your 15-year-old nephew hanging out with somebody that's 21, 22, 25 ain't a good idea. By the way, bruh, sis, 25 hanging out with a 15-year-old, that don't seem right or look right to me either. But they do it. And so this mentality of the trap is there. And so we have to continue to fight to pull back those layers to say, listen, you're smart, you're an entrepreneur. Let's figure out how we can get you into this career, this space that we know you are built to be. So I just, we have a lot that we're trying to get in this segment. Retha has nailed it. We need your help in pushing this restorative, transformative youth justice program. It is Bill A4663. If you do nothing else, please write 120 legislators. You can do it by email. If you're on this platform, then you have a way to connect with New Jersey and make sure that we get this legislation so that we can begin to heal our communities.
Thank you.
I just wanted to jump in. Wow, very empowering word. I wanted to say it takes a village, right? So everybody does what they do, and collectively, that's how we empower folks, right? And you said a lot about the mindset. Change doesn't happen until the mind changes, right? So in order to transform people, you have to start with the mind. But before you can even get to the mind, you have to have a heart of love, right? So credible messengers are so necessary. And I've been grateful to be able to have the VIP Online Academy and Until Freedom, which is another organization that Mysonne and Tamika co-founded. And we've been able to have the pleasure to have mayors such as Mayor Ras Baraka and Mayor Ted Green allow us into their cities, right? And through like the summer youth program in East Orange, we did a 6-week program with students where we taught them about social justice, right? We taught them to love themselves first. We gave them pride. We kept it real with them. Because sometimes people come in, and if people feel like you're up here and you can't meet people where they are, people have to be able to be vulnerable, to tell their truth, to expose their stories. And it's in that sharing that we all heal. So I feel that healing and transformation comes with programming, where programming starts with credible messengers, and there's methods in this programming. And I'm writing academically now with other professors about what this work really looks like. And I think before we even really start being able to be effective, we have to understand what transformation looks like. And like you said, peeling the onion, it's levels to it. It starts with the mind. Then once you get to the mind and the heart, then you can give people skills. Entrepreneurship is key. We teach all different types of trades to meet people where they are, whether it's hair makeup, whether it's graphic design, whether it's hip hop development. We give kids skills now that are up, that they can apply now, make money now, feel empowered now, so that we can stop the school to prison pipeline.
So and I'm going to direct this at Miss Retha because I know she can answer it. But and I'm not trying to take the light off of the criminal justice system and the inequities caused by systemic racism in our system. But when I think of social justice, it's larger than criminal justice. It's housing justice, it's voter rights. There's other things that it pertains to. So if young people want to get involved and be social justice activists, are there roadmaps, Retha? Are there movements right here in New Jersey that we can point them to?
Sure, absolutely. Krystal mentioned our youth justice youth council. I mean, young people who are on this call can join our youth council. And let me just mention to you, Prosecutor Webb-McRae, you talked about other areas besides criminal justice. A very important area right now, and of course, is ensuring democracy for all.
Yes.
Right? I mean, we see what's going on in the country around protecting the right to vote. At the Institute, we are very, very deep in work to protect the right to vote, particularly here in New Jersey, right? Last year, we had a huge win, right? We have a campaign called 1844 No More, in which we fought and won to allow folks who have been formerly incarcerated to be able to vote. So yes. 83,000 folks who were formerly incarcerated now have the right to vote in New Jersey. And that's because folks who are in the trenches on the ground work with us and advocated to make sure this particular bill passed. And we have more work to do. So we're working now to free the vote for people who are in prison. There are 2 states in the country that folks who are incarcerated have the right to vote. So why can't that happen here in New Jersey? We're also fighting for a same-day voter registration, early voting, also limiting police presence at voting locations. So my colleague Helen Patel at the Institute and Ron Pierce are working very heavily and very hard in this area. And we invite anyone who's interested in working to ensure democracy for all, please get in contact with us and we can connect you to these campaigns.
Can I say something? My organization, Until Freedom, we also are a social justice organization in which we need as many people as possible. Also, organization that I came out of was the Gathering for Justice, which is Harry Belafonte's organization, in which also the founder of an organization, which was the birth child of his organization, NYC Justice League, works with a lot of youth and about social justice. Also, we have organizations like Life Camp with Erica Ford, and her whole organization is in Queens and is based around a lot of youth and social justice. So there are so many different grassroots organizations that if you really want to, get connected with, go to untilfreedom.com, go to justiceleague.com, go to lifecamp.com. These are organizations that are on the ground dealing directly. Erica Ford is one of the leading gun violence advocates in the world. She's one of the founders of the crisis management system, along with Tamika Mallory and A.T. Mitchell in New York City. So there are so many different organizations that if you really want to, you can contact me. You can contact Tamika. Jamila is also a part of our organization. So there's so many different organizations that fight for both police and criminal justice and social justice. But you just have to really want to do it. I tell people all the time, they say, what do I have to do? You just have to want to do it. And if you look up, Google social justice organizations, you'll see a bunch of them. There are different grassroots. I know, like you just said, in Jersey, there are in New York, there's so many different people doing the work, and we just welcome everybody who wants to do the work.
I also think our schools, student councils, when I was doing a polling about, are student councils still active? Surprisingly, a lot of them were not. So I think if we have students that are on this call, it's about reactivating, it's about joining or reforming, which your student council looks like. And then you get also in New Jersey, we passed a bill where it allows students to be represented on the school board. So I think, in getting engaged and say, these are some things that we want to do in our school, it comes from the youth, it comes from you. So we have different vehicles that are out there that I think sometimes just need that extra push. And that's all these people, 400 plus people that's on this call here that absolutely can make a change.
Being in the room where it happens, right?
Absolutely.
Is important. So one thing that, just is relevant in the last couple of weeks, which just broke my heart, was to see what was happening at our Capitol and to know that if, the protesters had been Black and brown youth, like my 23-year-old son fighting for Black Lives Matter, they would have never made it up the steps of the Capitol. Which, on a day where we had just seen our first Black senator from Georgia, a day of triumph for Black people, to see something like that happen and just see it on video, to know the stark disparity in how we would have been treated had we done something like that, was just heartbreaking. So my question to the panelists are, how do we help our youth when they see things like that, knowing that disparity still exists, remain encouraged but safe in protest? How do we tell them to navigate this world?
So if I may, right, like, you were absolutely right. If that was anybody that's a person of color walking up those stairs, they would have been probably shot right before they even hit the door, right? When we're thinking about like racial disparity rates, right, and I think about youth prisons, right now over 70% of the kids that are in youth prisons are Black. And that's not because Black kids and white kids commit different crimes at different rates. No, they commit the same crimes at the same rates. They're just treated differently, right? So that's something that's really apparent in our society and in our world that really needs to be able to change. The things that I could say to like young people that are doing this is, stay motivated, stay encouraged, rely on your adult supporters. There's a lot of adult supporters that are out here that you could, really talk to. There's some peer groups out here to be able to talk and, really, think about your mental health and just be able to express your thoughts. That's, my encouragement for everybody, and just make sure you're staying safe and don't let this, deter people from actually standing up.
I think I appreciate what you said, Krystal. I think for me, being actually in an organization who does protest and who advocates against police brutality and has been all summer, pretty much all year, on the front lines at these marches, and seeing how we are met with so much aggression. I was protesting for Breonna Taylor in Kentucky, and we were charged with felonies for sitting on the lawn of the Attorney General, just demanding that these officers be charged for killing someone. And to see that, white supremacy is so strong that they can pretty much hijack the Capitol and then get released and, to home confinement and people could advocate for them to be released and see no violence, actually see police usher them into the building. You understand that we living in two different Americas. So what I would say to the youth is be aware of what we're dealing with. Don't take it as fear. Be empowered and seeing, okay, white supremacy actually exists. You're not crazy. The circumstances that you live in are by design. We're not living in poverty because we're just bad people or we just born poor. No, this is the structure that was set up for us. So understand what the system that we living in is, and then understand what it's going to take to change that system. It's going to take you being very intentional about education, about transforming, about being part of the system that changes, to be in the Senate to where you can vote to make sure that not only is presidents who do things like this impeached, but they're actually convicted and stripped of their rights. Like, see what's going on right now. Make sure that you're a part of the structure. So when you're a part of the federal government to where you're one of those people standing out to protect that building, that making sure that that rights are given properly, that making sure that is distributed equally. Be a part of the change you want to see. Don't sit there and be fearful. Don't sit there and say, oh, I don't know what to do. No, you know what to do. You have to be better. If you want to see America be better, then you have to contribute to making it better.
Mysonne,
Thank you for that.
was amazing. And I was adding to that, speak out. Speak out. It's our time to speak out. Today, we are celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. Day, right? And during that time, a lot of times as a youth, I watched, but I didn't understand, you know, so now we should be inspired by Dr. Martin Luther King, who spoke out. It's time now for us to use our voices and our platforms, right, to talk and know that we may need to demonstrate. And I feel like, you know, the events that took place was a lot like my case. There's different treatment in America for different people. And we need to understand that, and we need to speak out against it. And I think examples like this give us clear arguments to fight with, to say this is unfair. Why is one treated like this and another is treated like that? But I believe that it's galvanizing and unifying our voices, and it starts with our youth. So making them understand how to speak out, how to use your social platforms to talk, how to be a part of things even like these panels where you can use your voice to speak out and encourage others to galvanize, come on one accord, because we're going to need you very soon, because it's time to galvanize and speak out and make sure that change occurs, just like Martin Luther King did.
And I want to add one more thing. You know, the texture of America has changed, right? So therefore, the leadership has to look like what America is, right? It's no longer 70-plus-year-old white men should be able to dictate what this world looks like, right? What America looks like, because you're not even in tune with our culture, right? So as a youth, you should be inspired in knowing that you have to take their place, right? We have to make sure that we put people in power that represent. You know, when the government no longer represents the needs of the people, then it is not sufficient, right? It is not correct. It's not able to govern us. So as a youth, you should feel inspired, know that you're coming for these people's spots. You're going to be the 35-year-old senator. You're going to be the 40-year-old senator. You're going to be in those buildings at 25 and 30, and you're going to make sure that America, the sound and the culture of the government reflects the culture of America. So that's what I want our youth to do. Understand that you are the change that we need. I'm fighting so that my son and my son's sons can live in a better world than I am. And I don't want to have you to have to go through the same thing. I grew up on fear. A lot of us as youth, we were told that we couldn't say things and we couldn't enter certain rooms and we couldn't do things. We had to be quiet. This generation has a boldness and has an empowerness that has motivated me. So I want y'all to continue to motivate each other and continue to make children that are going to motivate this world.
Absolutely. So I want to just a few comments. We have about 7 minutes left, but I want to use all our youth online to understand why it's so important to have representatives that look like us, that have lived our experience fighting and advocating for us in the State House, as well as the Capitol. Take a look at Assemblywoman Verlina Reynolds-Jackson's history of the bills that she sponsors. She sponsors bills for people that look like us, for our children, for our parents, in healthcare, in criminal justice, in social justice, in education. There's no better example of why we have to have legislatures that look like us, representing and advocating for our interests. My last question. MLK said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. What do you think is the biggest threat to justice today?
Oh, racism.
All of us are just...
Everyone. Anybody who has a thought.
Is white supremacy. White supremacy is the biggest threat to justice in America. You know, and we've seen that on the 6th. There has never been anything remotely in my lifetime that I've ever seen where someone felt so empowered, right? And what I wrote on my social media was, those people were doing what America told them that they can do. America told white supremacy that it would never lose, that it would never be overtaken by anything. And when they seen us in Atlanta galvanize and strategize and actually vote to put people in office that reflected our values, white supremacy got scared. And white supremacy's leader, who was Donald Trump, stood up there and told them that they needed to take back their country. and they felt emboldened. When you look at the people who actually ran, these were people who were every day, who believed they were patriots. They went to the door of the Capitol and said that Donald Trump told them to come here, that they were there, right? They were in front of the camera talking about, this is a revolution. We're taking over the Capitol. They didn't feel there was any crimes. There are actually people that are being arrested that are telling the president he needs to pardon them because he told them to go there. So when you see someone emboldened that way, in which they can commit crimes and mutiny against our government and feel like they have done nothing wrong, when you see the president in chief inspire that behavior, because it has been engulfed and entrenched in the fiber of America for so long, there's no bigger threat in the world. Everybody else that they talk about, terrorists, this and that, they have been deemed to be illegal. They have been deemed, we look at them as something that's dangerous. We do not look at white supremacy as it is dangerous in this country. So when you don't look at something that can potentially destroy you as a danger, then it is definitely the biggest threat to our survival.
Anyone else have any thoughts?
I would say the biggest threat to justice today is the lack of understanding why something happened, the lack of equal opportunity, the lack of having difficult conversations. Like you see, all you read on the record is that, oh, you have a felony, oh, you did this, you did that, but you don't know why I did that. You don't know what I've been through or all the things that happened to me in my life. You're just judging a book by its cover.
I feel like there's a fear of the rise of Black and brown people. And I don't want to take sight of, we talk about the rioters, but we took sight off of the great win that we had in Georgia when everybody galvanized and went out to vote, right? We have entrepreneurship at its all-time high because of Black women, who are the largest a group of entrepreneurs now in our nation. They see the rise, so it's fear. They're really going to come up. So that's why you see the rage of many folks right now with this white supremacy, because they once said if they put it in a book, we wouldn't read it. Now we're reading it, we're developing it, we're creating it, we're being it. So they want to oppress our people. So with that said, young people, you can fight back. And you know how you fight back? With getting your education, right? With developing, with creating, with being the best you that you possibly can be. Because that fear is real. And you see they're reacting based on what they see us doing. So keep doing your thing.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment that I think the biggest threat is losing this democracy altogether, right? I think we cannot sleep on the fact that this is an experiment that's very new. I mean, 200 years is not that long. And it can go down the drain in a matter of one administration, right? And so we need to definitely stay involved in the system. You know, folks wonder if their vote count. Your vote absolutely count. Yes. I did not think that Georgia was going to pull off 2 Senate seats, and they did. And how did they do that? Because they got young people involved. I mean, I was absolutely thrilled that they actually reached down to high school students who were turning 18 years old and registered them to vote. I mean, that's phenomenal. That Black women on the ground getting folks out to the polls. And, you know, the Institute typically take us down to Selma for the, Bloody Sunday celebration. And last year when we were in Selma, I was just amazed at how enthusiastic and how motivated they are to register people to vote and engaged in the process. So we need to bring that energy to New Jersey. We need to get out. We can't sleep because we think we're in a blue state. You know, we have to make sure we hold everybody accountable. You have to understand who your legislators are, who your elected officials are, and you need to make sure that not only do you vote, but you understand what they're pushing, what legislation they're pushing, and hold them accountable to your community.
I just want to add real quick, that Retha, you're absolutely right. And because guess what? We're in 2021. We have a whole new group of students, young adults that are turning 18. And so if you're new to the process, it doesn't mean that, oh, I voted once. In New Jersey, we have an election every 6 months. So we have one coming up. And so I think the biggest threat is that we think it's over. This cycle continues. We need your voices continually throughout the process. we're all on this call right now, and I think we all have a singular message, and that's about empowering each other. But we have to acknowledge and make sure in different spaces that we acknowledge that racism exists. We get these groups that get formed, and the restorative justice, and then they want to call it coming together of America. When really we're talking about reparations. They don't want to call it reparations. They want to call it something else. Acknowledging what the group is and what its mission is, and holding it true is what we need. To change it is really massaging it, saying that it doesn't exist in the first place. And so, we have to continue to fight for those things and stay involved. Stay involved.
So I'm going to have to close out because it is 12:56. You have to go to the main stage. I'm giving a shout out to Bridgeton Youth to Youth, which is in the real South Jersey, down in Cumberland County, Bridgeton, New Jersey. But thank you so much to our panelists. We appreciate you. This was an amazing panel. Thank you for your contribution. And youth, leave inspired. Remember to vote. Thank you.
Thank you.